Hello and welcome to the first drive of driving 5,525 miles to Mexico. The car's looking pretty bare at the moment, but I thought I'll get a few hundred miles out of the way just as a starter to show that it's real. I'm going to be doing it all, and just to give everyone an idea of how it's going to plan out over the time that I do it. Now, I do start very last on the grid, not because of qualifying or anything, just because I feel like it's more exciting if I start from the back of the grid instead of me just flying off into the distance. But today it was quite an exciting race. I actually pushed myself a bit too hard at some places, but here you can see I'm going through all my settings, just making sure that everything's right. I don't want to alter any of these because then it'll give me a bit of an advantage compared to the other cars, but we just tried to keep it as simple as possible. Went through, showed everyone all my driving options in case anyone wanted to try this out for themselves, and then we just got straight into it. Shouldn't take too long, and we just waited for myself to get ready, and then yeah, I hope this is enjoyable for everyone. The first 10 laps of the Nordish Life for 24 hours, and it starts now. So first option of traction control just for the start, so that I get a good exit. Coming up to the first turn now, managed to get one car passed and done already, and I think I see a little gap on the outside that I'm just going to thread myself through. And then this corner here is awful for AI. They always just try and bundle up together, but as you can see on the radar in the bottom right, lots of cars everywhere, having to try and avoid them, but I managed to get out clean and fine. Coming into this next turn here, I take a bit of a slower entry to it, and then make a big dive onto the next car, just to try and get ahead of the field early. He's still alongside us actually, but we do manage to get that move done. And I decided to make another big lunge down the inside, just scare him off a little bit. And then get that move done right there. Now, I will apologise in advance, I don't have the replay for this this race because, well, it corrupted, so I couldn't show the replays. So this is all from my perspective today, but in the future, very close there, in the future there will be a replay, so I can show different angles. But we're just trying to find a little bit of space to get around some of these cars. It doesn't look like we're finding any at the moment, but gaining on this car ahead, I let him know that I'm there with a little tap and get that move done, and hopefully he didn't lunge back, which is good. I had to take this corner a lot slower than I usually would because the AI really don't know how to handle it very well, especially some of them in the faster cars. They tend to go quite slow in the corners, so we have to be quite wary of that throughout. I have a little moment there, I have a few moments throughout, which makes it bad, but that orange car there had a little bit of a slip, gave up a position, and now we're on the hunt. We get past him easily. Almost a double move there. Car was going very slow into those two turns, and we just go around the outside there and make that easy move. A bit wary on the outside though, got a bit loose from myself there. Managed to keep it though, didn't get any damage, which is also good because I've set the damage to heavy. You can see me there weaving a bit to try and get the mud off the tyres, because when you go on the grass in these cars it really does make a difference, it really does affect your performance. Now we've carried the momentum through those corners, coming out now looking for some space, but this part of the track's really thin and he's not really looking like he's going to give us any room here, so we just let him have that corner, and then we look for another move coming into this hairpin. A little bit slow there from the car in front, but we managed to keep following, and then we should look to make a move coming into this fast section here. Trying to go around through the inside, pretty good move, up into 7th place now. Done well for the first 3 minutes. Just making sure that I know this track well. I haven't really been on this track in a long time, and I haven't really been on this game in a long time either. So this was kind of like my first overall attempt at just practicing this track, as we're now alongside with the Toyota, I think it was, that we just managed to get past there. And this corner here is an absolute monster because there's no markers for me anyway, so I just kind of have to guess on where it feels right to brake every time, which can cause a bit of a nuisance sometimes, but it's not the worst. And here we are catching up on this Lamborghini now. Shouldn't be too long before we manage to eye up a little go. Do we have a look around the inside here? Not quite. Maybe into this tight corner down here. Take it quite wide, try and get a good exit. And the Lamborghini has a really good squirm, and so do I, so I can't benefit on that, which is unfortunate because I would have been able to slide right through there if I didn't have that moment myself. And then have a bit of a late braking moment there. Should apply a bit of pressure. It looks like he's got his indicator on there, so he's going to let me through, which isn't what I really want. I want to overtake it. Oh, I have a big moment there. Don't get any damage though, which is good. But I did again lose that position, and now there's two cars behind me that I've overtaken previously. They're now attacking me, so I've got to look out for them. And my car's not the fastest in a straight line either, so I do have to be careful on these straights to make sure that I get a good exit so that they can't benefit as much as they can. And here we are on this big straight now, being pressured, but I've got to close that line up. As you can see on the radar right behind me, touching bumpers almost, and through that corner he lets off a little bit. He knows that I'm in front, so that's my line. Now if you don't know this track, then this corner you always think is the one that's meant to be in second gear, because in the bottom it gives you recommended gears, but it's actually this corner. It just fools you a bit because it looks like it should be a slow corner, but actually you can just take it flat out. Little squirm there. But coming up to the first carousel now, I love this corner so much. Still need to work out a good braking point for it though, because I seem to lose quite a bit of time going through there. But take the carousel quite nicely, get a good exit. Usually in second gear you can go all the way around. And now we're just coming up to this uphill section now, which is quite fun. Got to keep it quite tight through these parts now, because otherwise you'll lose it quite a bit. But you've just got to try and close up, keep the inside line, and you should be alright. Closing up to the car ahead, trying to just ease off a little bit in the corners, give him a bit of space, and then look for a good move when he makes the mistake. A little bit wide there, but it's alright, we've kept it going. Slow down right a bit, get a good exit on here, try and look around the outside. Get the move done, yes I do. A little bit of a drift there on the outside. Get around him, pretty good move. This corner I hate because it's so deceiving. You think you can take it really fast, but actually you've got to really slow the car down to be able to make it good. And then this section here, I quite like this section. Just got to carry that momentum through, make sure you don't lose any time, and then it's just flat out all the way through here. Closing up slightly on the car ahead. Might be able to make a move coming into the last corner, or maybe even onto the main straight, but as I said before, my straight line speed in this car is a lot worse compared to the other Group 3 cars, so it can be a bit of a challenge. Now I tried to go around the outside here of the carousel just to test how the car feels and handles around missing out the carousel, and it's not worth it. It's better to just go through the carousel. So I realised that, because I wanted to see if it's faster around the outside, but it turns out it's just not. And here you can see the car in front is just pushing away and away, and the GTR that's up ahead also has the same problem as me, not got that top speed quite as high as the other Group 3 cars are, so you can see it's hindered quite a lot as we get an easy pass there up into P4. Coming up now on to almost the last turn of the first lap. Take it. I just wanted to be a bit wary here because in the past I usually just bin it into that wall there, so I took it quite cautiously on this first lap just to make sure that I get through, because I know that there's much more opportunities that I'll get. And that is the first lap of the race done, the first 15.7 miles of the 5,525. 8 minutes 58.4. Not the worst lap, but I want to get my times going now. I don't really know how to take that corner when there's no cars around me, because it's quite a tight one and you lose quite a lot of time if you try and get like a wide good exit, because there's not really much of a straight after it. So I'm still trying to figure that corner out as I look for a move around the outside, but carry too much speed into the entry. I've got to give that place back as we go around the outside now, looking for the inside of the corner. Easy move there. Have a little bit of a moment as I'm sorting out my gears, because I do manual. I've got paddle shifters on my wheels, so I use those so I can get the faster lines, if you'd say that. I'm still not the fastest around this track, but hopefully with me doing this I'll learn a lot more about where I can brake. And I go a bit wide here, but I do slow the car down enough to make sure that it's not overly wide, and I go wide here again and have a little moment. Yes, I do. I spin out. That's the first big really moment, but it was a good recovery. I don't know how I got track limits from it, but it was a good recovery. Managed to spin the car back around, didn't lose too much time, but I'm now being pressured from the car behind. I should be able to, because I know that I'm much faster in this chicane, keep that position. So back down to P4, taking it quite steady now. Just want to make no mistakes, keep it clean, catch up to P3, try and get a good lead going, and if we can get that, that would be perfect and probably the most ideal thing in this situation. The AI are always quite slow through this first sector, so I try to really apply pressure, push quite hard through this first sector, and then slow it down a bit through the middle sectors. As you can see, I've gained a load of time through those section of corners. I'm now caught back up to the P3, which is good. 8 seconds, around 8 or 9 seconds to the lead. Isn't the worst, definitely catchable. We just need to clear the traffic as soon as possible. Took a very tight line there, bit of an unnecessary defending, which has hindered his straight line speed down this straight here. But his car is just so much better in a straight line that it can just outpace me. So I've got to try and look for a move coming into the hairpin. You've got to let off a bit there because you can't take it flat because it's an uphill crest. So you just kind of turn in, but I make myself known there on the inside and I just kind of slot my way through. Good overtake. Got some clean air ahead of me, 7 seconds of clean air ahead of me. So I can just really get down to push and hopefully stop this car from attacking again. As you can see in the bottom right on the radar, very close, but he backs off there as he sees that I've got a faster car. Coming into this turn used to cause me a lot of grief, because when I didn't know the track before, I used to just fly straight over the corner into the wall, but now I'm more tentative and know which corner it is, so I can brake when I need to. Close up about 2 seconds now only about 5 seconds gap, which is good. Just got to keep the tyres alright and watch the fuel as well, because fuel and tyres around this lap, or around this track anyway, are quite important. But the hard tyres shouldn't wear out too much, so I should be alright. And fuel shouldn't be too much of an issue. I think we should only have to pit once maybe, if it's an ideal race. So we should be alright. It looks like we've got the faster lap times to begin with. An 850.0 I think is the fastest of this session so far, so I'm not that far off. And if we look next time a delta comes up, we should be able to see how far off the pace I am from that. As we're now really close to the car in front, only about 1.5 seconds difference now. and you can see first place just in the distance as well, which is brilliant for us because it means that we can get some clean air ahead of us and we can really start pushing and get a good lap time around this track. Now because it's an 8 minutes track, one mistake and it can cost you the entire lap. As you see there, we are fastest at the moment on the circuit. About half a second, sorry, I think was the difference. So we'll be looking at about an 8:49.5-ish as we're making a move here, going down the inside of this fast corner, making sure that he can't get the switch back through that corner, carry the momentum through. So now 1.7 seconds up on the fastest lap, closing down P1, and take a very late break into this corner. Looks like it's a BMW 123 at the moment, which is always nice to see. Coming into the carousel now. Do I get it right steady? No, of course I don't. Took quite a high line on the carousel though, to differ from P1's low line, but it didn't really do much difference when the exit comes into it. Now we come through the uphill section, just looking for any sort of move that I could make. I want to be quite patient here, but I want to get past him as quick as possible, so I've just got to try and push him through the corners and allow him to make the mistake, which is always nice for me because it means I don't have much work to do. But as you can see, I'm just not really braking where I should be. If there was no car in front of me, I want to brake a bit earlier, but enough so that he knows that I'm there. As you can see, he goes a little bit wide there. I'm thinking about moving on the outside, but I can't quite make him stick. And then he opens up the outside again, and I try and do a little switchback, but he covers it off quite nicely, and I just get the better exit. Coming into this slow corner here, I have to brake quite heavily, still alongside him, but managed to pull away and get that line sorted. And now we're up into P1 after almost 2 laps. 7th minute now, going into this section of momentum. Got to pretty much just keep your foot down. That's the best way to get through this part. Just keep your foot down and turn. If you go off, just keep your foot down and floor it. But as you can see now, almost got a second already to P2, which is good. Gain a good lead. Coming up on the second carousel now. Just want to keep it steady as long as we're keeping that gap as high as possible, really, as big as possible, so that we've got a good bank in case we do make another mistake down the line. So far it's looking good. Let's just hope that we don't get overtaken on this back straight now, because as I said before, our top speed isn't the best. But yeah, first and second laps so far are going well. Now as we start this third lap, I just want to try and gain as big of a lead as possible without making too many mistakes, so that I can just have that bank for when we have to pit. Because as you can see in the bottom left, fuel, we're already about a quarter through, so as we get a bit loose on that exit there, still don't know how to take that corner, so it's a bit of a tricky one for me, but we just need to keep it clean and increase that gap even more and not do that. As we spin out a little bit here, have to take to the grass, and we allow Valdez to go back through into P1. So we're now down to P2, and the tyres lost a bit of wear there from the wheel spin, but they should be alright to keep us going for now. Now we've got to push even more to try and catch up to P1 again, get that overtake done, and then start pushing away and creating that gap again. Go for a big lunge around the outside, braked enough though to make sure that we get to the corner, and then we have the inside line for that corner, which leads us onto the straight. As long as I've got a decent enough exit to carry the speed down the straight, not allow Valdez to get back in front. I can see on the radar he's looking for a move up the inside, but I know that I can take this chicane a lot faster than the AI do, so I've just got to try and send it as much as I can through that corner, just gain a little bit of a gap, and now I can start building on that gap again as we go 3.7 seconds faster than the previous fastest lap. So we've just got to keep pushing as much as we can within a comfortable region so that we don't crash again. So yeah, 1.6 seconds at the moment, 1.8, going up slowly, 2 seconds now. So we've just got to keep pushing through this section especially, is where we lose, I was going to say where the AI lose a lot of time, as we just spin out there, let P1 back through, and try and not get in the way of anyone else though. I think we're alright. Yeah, we've just kept P3 behind, not too far close, so we should be alright to keep P3, but that was unfortunate for us there. Not going to be able to push for the fastest lap now. Instead we're just going to try and build up that gap again from P3 this time and gain almost 6.5 seconds to try and re-overtake P1 again, which is a little bit annoying for us because it means that we can't capitalise on the free space in front of us and gain a big gap for that pit stop. But no damage still, which is good, so we can still push without any problems handling wise and pace wise in general. So it should always be down to me and the controlling the car, but at the moment it's usually just been from me pushing a bit too hard, getting a few wheels on the grass, and then that causes the traction to just go absolutely out the window and causing us spinning out. So we've got to be careful about that. Little squirm there, managed to hold it together. I'm alright when it comes to little squirms, I can kind of control them the best I can, but when there's the high speed losses of control, that's when you're really not prepared for anyone really to try and catch that, unless they're on a wide track. You don't want to be on the Nordschleife when you're trying to catch a crash. Gap's now down to 2 seconds, doing quite well to bring that gap down and try and get that overtake done again. Should be able to get it through one of my favourite parts as we come up to it now, the big fast sweeping third gear turns that I really like, and go downhill and uphill all over the place. But we're really closing up to the back of the Beamer again now, hopefully looking for a move soon. I don't know whether we're going to make it on this little straight here or coming down into this turn here, but we'll have to see. Very close to the back of him there. Just trying to weigh up the options here, see what would be better to do, whilst also not getting the worst exit. As you can see, we're gaining tiniest ever bits. Looking for a move. We're going to go down the inside. Yeah, just going to flow straight past. Pretty simple move. We've got the overspeed, so now we're just going to try and gain a big gap again. Try and get that gap for the pit stop so that it doesn't affect us as much, and then we should be alright for the rest of the race. Bit of a jump there over that curb, but we managed to keep it hold together. 2 seconds now to the gap as we have another little bit of wheel spin there coming out of that turn, coming up to the carousel now. It's a very fun part of the track, the carousel. I always like going over it. You never usually get banked turns on a racing track anymore, so it's always nice to have that there, especially on a car that can deal with it. A few wheels on the grass there as we try and keep as much speed through these corners as possible. Overall, so far it's been a decent second half of the lap. Just need to hold it together. We're now 5 seconds ahead of P2, which is a solid gap so far. Just needs to keep building on that comfortably, and then we should be alright for a pit stop soon. Bit out of shape there, but nothing too worrying. Just trying to keep it on the track rather than on the grass, as we try and keep the momentum flowing through this section of corner. Second carousel now. I don't like that one as much as the first one, but that's probably because the first one is a lot more continuous, whereas this one's a little one. So I find it quite hard to get a good exit from that one, but it doesn't matter too much. Still got that now 8.5 second gap to P2, which should help us along this back straight, and maintaining a good lead from everyone else. And yeah, overall good so far. Coming up on the last corner now, as we have a big moment and we get quite a lot of damage from that. Engine damage, front right suspension and front bumper damage as well, so we're going to have to come into the pits for that, otherwise we're going to have definitely an above 11-minute lap time, which is not what we want. So early pit stop for us, onto the mediums, bit of a softer compound of tyre, which should give us that bit more grip and extra, well, faster lap time I should say. 5.4 laps of fuel still remaining, but we need about 7 or 8. So we're just going to fill it up all the way to the top, so we've got that fuel and the extra fuel as well, so we can keep going. I probably could have stopped at about there, but I just wanted to get up out of my seat, stretch my legs a little whilst they do repairs, and then get straight back out. Back down to P7 now, but we have got another 6 laps to gain those positions back. Unfortunate there, but I'm glad that we did it at the last turn rather than halfway through the lap, because that would have definitely hindered us a lot more. So as you can see, trying to warm my tyres up a bit by just weaving around the track a little bit. Got a 14-second gap behind me, so I don't need to worry about hitting into anyone. I just need to get some heat into the tyres quickly so that we can start pushing again. Just checking how much fuel I've got there. Down in the bottom right before switching back to the radar. Taking that corner a little bit wider, just trying to get used to the medium tyres, seeing where the limit is in accelerating and getting a corner exit. Now we've just got to try and catch up to the pack ahead as we come on to the next straight in a minute. Little bit of a squirm there, managed to hold on to it. Doesn't really affect the lap time too much, but just a bit annoying when you're trying to push hard to catch up to the group ahead. Now down to about 4 seconds ish, which isn't the biggest of gaps, but it's still a challenging one to get through, as in this section here I have a little bit more of an oversteer moment there, but we just managed to keep it going, carrying the speed through, and we managed to catch up quite significantly to the pack ahead now, because they always seem to struggle through this first sector. And now we're on the back of Lilia, I think that is, and I get past them quite quickly, making easy effort of those onto the Lamborghini of Porter now, just trying to catch up ever so slightly, carrying the momentum through. Probably should have been in 5th gear for that corner there, had a bit more speed for this straight here, but it doesn't really matter as long as we're not losing the position, then we can still benefit on the Lamborghini. Really caught up to the back of this Lamborghini now, as we're going to look for a lunge down the inside, not quite. Little bit of contact there, and I'll take a very inside line to get past. Wasn't the cleanest of moves, but the braking zone there was a lot later than what the Lamborghini did, so I didn't really have much choice. Tried to slow the car down, slowed it down enough that it didn't completely destroy the Lamborghini's race, but Sometimes that happens in racing, sometimes there is a little bit of contact. Closing up on the Audi now, made easy work of that. Audi had a little mistake, went a bit wide in that corner, so we benefited on that. Now closing up on Castellanos, I think that's Colombian. Closing up quite heavily now. Had a little bit of a moment there, almost went straight into the back of him, but we've kept it on the track and contactless with this driver. So we look for a move around the outside, not quite there, but I've still got my foot in as I'm just trying to feed it through, and we managed to get the move done, making quick work of the traffic to try and get back into first place or even second place if we can. As we come here, had a lot of speed carried into that corner, but managed to get the car slowed down enough to make the apex. So we are now 9 seconds away from second and 15.5 seconds away from first. A big gap to try and close down, but I think if we have the right frame of mind and the right pace, we should be able to get it done quickly. Little bit of a moment there, just clipped the wall a bit, got a bit loose on the exit, couldn't quite control it, but coming through the first carousel now, still kept it quite okay, down to 11 seconds off the lead, 4.5 seconds off second place, so we're doing well to cut that gap down, try and gain a bit more, but we do need to remember that I have pitted already, as we have another big moment there as we get a tyre on the grass. So everyone else still has to pit, whereas I am now a pit stop ahead. So hopefully I should have done enough that if I stay in this position now, I should be net first position after everyone else has pitted. But now we can really see second place closing up quite heavily now, down to under 2 seconds away. Doing quite well here. You can see that they're struggling in front, actually struggling. The lines are quite a lot tighter than the ones that I'm taking, which is allowing me to carry more speed through. And now we're right on the end of this beamer's tail. Going to look for any sort of mistake that they make to try and capitalise on, as we just try and keep it as clean as possible through these corners to be able to just find any sort of gap. And there we have a big gap, and that is a big crash as the BMW kind of swerves and moves into the path of my braking. I'm very angry, as you can see in the camera there. Caused me to have quite a lot of damage, so I'm going to have to pit again, because you can see in the bottom left the engine is flashing, which means, as you can probably see as well, I'm nowhere near as fast as I should be. Now I've got to let all these cars through ahead of me, otherwise I'm just going to hinder their race. And it's not gone well at all for me. It has not gone well at all. So I'm just trying to get through. I don't want to let them through easily. I just want to not get in their way as such. So when we get onto this straight, they will all fly past me, which is kind of annoying. I'm just having to try and carry the speed through because I have no acceleration. So I've just got to be careful about how much I brake. And as you'll see now, all these cars will fly through and it'll be a limp back to the pits for me. And into the pits we go with lots of damage. I'm going to swap onto the soft tyres now, actually, and we're not going to fill up anymore because we're on lap 4 and we've got 7 laps left, so we should not need to fill up. Just going to change tyres to a softer compound because it makes sense to have that little bit more grip, seeing as we've only got 6 laps left. The mediums didn't really wear much, so I thought I'll take the gamble, go onto the softs, try and make up that extra time that I've lost when changing tyres on the actual track when I was racing there. So we dropped down to 8th position now. Don't lose that many positions, but we now have a lot of work to do to try and catch back up. It's a 54.5 second gap to first that I've got to try and close down in the next 5 laps. So that is about 40 minutes of racing. We'll see how we get on as we overtake the first car up into P7, trying to get used to these new soft tyres as quickly as possible. Taking it quite steady at the moment, don't really want to push myself too hard at the beginning. Just want to ease into these tyres with the higher fuel load again, and just take it steady until we get onto the actual Nordschleife, and then we can start pushing there where we know that the AI are slower. So we'll just keep this up, see how we get on. Gap's already down to 52 seconds. Gotta get a move on here, but we should be alright because we are technically now pit stop down because we've had to pit for damage. So yeah, should be an interesting one. Closing up now on Kelly. Just under 1 second now. Really closing up to this BMW now. Looking for the simple overtake down the inside, over the bridge. Simple overtake. Up into P6 now. Really pushing it hard here. These soft tyres do me really well. Lots more grippy than the medium and hards. So we should be on track for the win, hopefully, if we can keep it together. Oh, and we get a little bit out of hand there and spin into the wall. Front bumper and front right suspension damage. That is not good for us. That corner has not done me well. I've been losing it a bit there on most of the exits. And now we have 7th position closing in behind us, only a second away now. We've got front right suspension damage, which is going to cost us a little bit. Coming into this little tight hairpin here. Get a little bit out of hand there. Handling is affected a little bit. Whenever I do get damage on the suspension, I usually just do a little test to see how bad it really is by just letting go of the steering wheel and seeing if it crabs a bit. So I might do that on the main straight or so, or on the next straight that comes up. I'm not sure if I do or not, but coming up now, got this bit of straight here. We're 13 seconds away from 5th position, and it's not looking good. Halfway through the lap at the moment. I don't know whether we're going to pit. It doesn't make sense to pit again now. But if I do get a bit more damage, then I might have to. I think I can just wear this out unless it is really deeply affecting my performance down the main straight due to the suspension and aerodynamic damage. So we'll just have to wait and see what decision I make when we finish the lap and get to the pit entry. Just under 1 second away now as the Lamborghini braking really slowly there into that corner. Am I going to look for a lunge down the inside? Yes I am. Am I going to make it stick? Yes I am. Pretty simple overtake there. The Lamborghini seemed a bit scared, but I'm glad we got through there with ease so that we can continue pushing. Hopefully gain up that time for another pit stop if the damage is too unbearable for me.
If not, then we just need to push for first place at this point. I think a win is on the table. It might be cutting it a bit fine, but I think there is a win on the table. There won't be a win on the table if I keep going onto the grass like that. Jesus. Cutting it a bit fine. Trying to keep the grip to the limit here. We're now 12 seconds away from 4th place. Hopefully we can gain that back through the corners rather than on the straights, because this car isn't fast in a straight line anyway, never mind without the aerodynamic damage. So we're just going to have to deal with that, try and gain as much as possible through the corners, and hopefully we can get the best result possible from this situation at the moment. Right, let's see what decision I decide to make here, coming into the last turn. Will I go into the pits? Yes, I will. I am going into the pits, so obviously the damage was too much, and I am going to get it fixed. No tyre swap, no refuel, just 5 seconds worth of damage. As you can see on the camera, I'm a bit frustrated. Because I know I could have avoided that easily. There you can see the car's a little bit battered. Still alright though for now. Got my logo on the side, my racing number on the side. Just my name for now. I'll hope to see many more names if possible. Back down to P7. Lap 6 out of 10. Got to get past this guy quickly, otherwise it might hinder us. Now that we've got no damage, we should be alright. Just to sweep past this guy. Coming into this corner, yep, there we go. Pretty easy. Almost gets the switch back on us, but we just plant the car right in the middle of the track to not allow that at all. Got to get a move on now though. We've got 9 seconds to catch on the Lamborghini again. So we're going to do our best to catch up now. Now right on the Lamborghini's tail. Oh, pulls to the side, lets us through. Lamborghini really hasn't done one for fighting today. "19 seconds now. We've got to try and regain 40 seconds to the lead. 4 laps to do so. It's going to be tight here. Within 1 second now of 4th place, and you can just see 3rd place in the distance as well, which is good for us, as the car brakes extremely early, causing us to take, I don't know what 4th place was doing there, going extremely slowly through both those corners there, causing us to get more bumper damage, and almost hitting into them then in the previous corner as well. Don't really know what the AI was doing there, but only hindering our race now that we've got bumper damage again. I don't think we are going to pit now because there's no suspension damage, which means it should only really affect our straight line speed, and if we can get them in the corners then it should be alright, as we're looking to overtake the Audi on the outside here down these straights, leaving him the space on the inside, but he doesn't want that corner anyway, so we get through up into 3rd place now. Unfortunately with damage, which is not what we'd like, but we've got to roll with it anyway. 3.5 seconds to second place now, as you can see just in the distance. You can see the car there. Going to try and close up as quick as possible. Now that we've got this damage, we really need to get a move on and try and overtake second and first as quick as possible. But there is still a 22-second gap to first place, which is going to be a hell of a lot of effort to try and catch up to. Second place going very slowly through that carousel, looking to line up a move, possibly coming into this next little straight, or maybe down the inside of this corner here. Are we going to make it stick? We've got to leave the room on the inside, and the car comes back. Bit of contact made. As I tried to go around the outside again, but it doesn't work, and we're back down to P3 there. Good little battle here. I try and stick it around the outside again, look for the inside, and that is the move done. Slot through there, saw the gap we had to take it to get past, and there was nothing really that the third place could have done there to defend from that. So that's us up into second place. We've now got 21-second gap between us and first place. Got to try and close that down as quick as possible. No mistakes at all otherwise. Well, it's just going to be even harder for us to catch it up, and isn't it? Little bit scary through that carousel there, but we managed to hold on to it. Carried a bit too much speed into there, caused us to kind of fly off the top of the carousel there, but we managed to keep it alright. Onto the back straight now. 17 seconds to catch up. Should be alright, but we might lose a bit of time on this straight as we are already to first place, which is not the best for us, but as I said before, the corners we should hopefully make that up as long as we can keep third place behind us. And surprisingly, we come into the pits again. I think I must have thought that the aerodynamic damage down the main straight was too much for me to handle, and I think I must have thought that I'm going to lose too much time. So I have pitted again. It will just be 3 seconds for aero, so it should be quite a short pit stop. And Castellanos has also pitted for fuel. So we're back out into fourth place now, and we have 3 laps to try and close back up, as there is now a almost 40-second gap to first again, but only a 4-second gap to third, and second is close in front. So hopefully if we can catch these two and get past them quickly, we should be well on our way to getting first place, as long as we don't make any more mistakes, because I've made too many this race. Trying to take a bit of a wide line here to get a good exit out of this corner, as we do, and we're pulling up alongside. I just don't want this car to cut that space off as it kind of does there, but we just outbrake, managed to get turned in time, and look for another move down the inside here. That was perfect overtaking from myself there, just trying to get past them as quickly as possible without causing too much of a faff. As we get a bit out of shape here, just keep it away from damage, but that does cost us a little bit of time. Not the best. I know that I'll be kicking myself about that one. Luckily we didn't get any damage, but it's still quite frustrating when you're trying to push. Hopefully we can keep going and catch up to Valdez as quickly as possible. Oh, as we got really out of shape here and hit the barrier at high speed, which caused us to get rear right suspension damage as well as rear bumper damage. And I think that is going to cost me a hell of a lot of time and a hell of a lot of handling, which isn't good at all. This might be another pit stop, which won't be good for us, especially since it's pretty much the start of the lap. As you can see, I'm getting really out of control with the handling there, and I just let go of the steering wheel there to test if the car does crab or not. But I think we're just all right with that, possibly on that little straight there. Anyway, it might get a little bit worse or just affect the steering itself, from what I can feel. So we're just going to try and keep it as stable as possible, even if that means just coming off the power a little bit earlier, not being as aggressive, and still hoping to make up time. As you can see there, a bit of understeer coming out of that corner seems to affect us in both range of corners really, and as we get a really big tank slapper there, really getting us out of shape. But we're still gaining a little bit of time each lap, which is good for us, but I do need to push really hard now to try and close that gap up as much as possible, to not affect us in this pit as much as it would do. Oh, as we have another big moment there, coming into the final turn. I'm very frustrated with myself there, but thankfully it was on the final turn, so we can pit straight away. Don't need any more fuel, it'll just be 6 seconds of repairs. Not the best for us. We're going to have to do a lot in these final 2 laps, well, 3 laps technically. So yeah, it's all to play for here for first place now, just from my silly mistakes. But we'll come back out in P2 anyway, just now another 28 seconds behind first place, which is not really what you want when you're trying to win a race. So we've got a lot of catching up to do. I'm just going to let this play out as we have another big moment there as we almost stack it into the barrier. What am I doing? Need to gather my bearings. Now down to 14 seconds behind us and almost 40 seconds ahead of us. So a lot of work to do now. So we're just gonna have to see it through to the end. Hopefully I don't get any more damage now. Hopefully I don't make any more mistakes. That's the one thing that I need to improve as a main focus, definitely, is not making as many mistakes on simulator racing. I don't tend to in real racing, like real life racing, when I go karting for example, but in the simulator, yeah, I find it a lot harder for me to judge where the limit is. So when I do make a mistake, it's mainly because I just can't find that limit between grip and traction. Now from that corner cut there, we got a bit of track limits, half a second of slowdown penalty that I've got to complete by the end of this lap. So you'll see me throughout having the penalty, where I just try to find places where I can slow down without it costing me too much time, and in the corners where I naturally am slower, the penalty will get taken away automatically. So it shouldn't be a problem. As you can see here, I'm just letting off the throttle a little bit on this part of the straight, so that I can then gain that momentum back through this corner and keep it going through the second gear corner there. It's already down to just over 2/10 penalty now, coming onto this straight. I don't think I'll let it go on this straight because this is where you need to carry the overspeed through. But when it gets to the corners, that's when I tend to let off a little bit so that I can give that penalty back. And we have another big moment here. I don't know how we don't get damage from this, but I managed to spin the car back around after hitting the wall. Oh no, we did get damage. Never mind. More damage. That's great. And then we have another moment here where we just get a bit too loose, can't find that grip, and that costs us a lot of time. And I think that is going to be another pit stop for us. What's that now? The 1 pit stop, 2 pit stops, 3 pit stops, 4 pit stops. This is going to be our 5th pit stop. Oh dear. That's not good, is it? 5 pit stops in one race. We're just going to have to deal with it then. That little bit of suspension damage and aerodynamic damage that's going to hinder us down that straight and through these corners, but hopefully it's not too bad, so that we can just get it home, get it to the pits and get it fixed again. Disappointing and annoying on my end because I wanted to just keep this race clean now until the end and try and just grind out that win, but unfortunately that's not going to happen this lap, and possibly the next lap, depending on how fast I am in the next 2 laps. But we have closed that gap down to 5 seconds now. It is going to, well, it possibly will increase now, unless we've got the momentum to keep going. I think we have ever so slightly, by a few milliseconds every second or so. And yeah, now it starts to gain, now we're starting to reach top speeds, which is expected. But we've still got that gap down to under 5 seconds, which is very good for my standards. Just got to try and keep it up, try and get into the pits as quickly as possible, and then see how we are coming out of the pits and really got to push to get that win now. Oh, we're not going into the pits this lap, we're sticking it out. I think we might just stick this out until the end of the race now. That means that we've only got to gain 4 seconds now to the leader. Definitely possible. I think if we are to get a faster lap time, I think now is the lap that we should do it. And as I say that, we set a fastest lap by 3/10. 2 seconds away from the leader now. Just keeping it nice and steady with that damage. Don't need to push too hard, but we want to also set a good lap time and get the win as well. Corner's a bit wide, but it's alright because we can manage to get it turned in, as we're now 1.5 seconds up on the fastest lap, and we're really starting to close in now, within a second of the leader. Really closing up, looking for a little option around the outside maybe. Defends heavily on the inside, plants it quite nicely there, but opens the gap for us on the inside of this corner, and we just slide right through and up into first place, as we're now almost 2 seconds faster than the fastest lap. But second place is not giving up yet. You can see looking for an option. I just keep my car in the middle a bit until we need to turn in, and then through this corner here I do take a bit more cautiously because of that damage. I didn't know how the car would take itself through there, but Valdez knew to back off and give me that corner, as we're now 9.5 seconds up on the fastest time, which is an astonishing amount of time gained in just one sector then. As we're now going to try and push away from second place and push for that fastest lap still. So we're just going to have to see how this rolls out, and hopefully it now goes in our favour. Another moment here where I just clipped the wall, managed to keep it alright, but that was a bit of a scary one there. Gonna definitely hinder our fastest lap time effort, but hopefully we're still gonna improve on at 8 minutes 42.5, as that was set in the second lap, and there was still a lot of traffic then, so keep fingers crossed and we should be able to get a semi-decent lap time today at least. There we set an 8:20.8. That is the fastest lap time of the session so far, and I guess we're going to try and push for another fastest lap here. a lot better through this section here as P2 actually pits, as they've only got 4 units of fuel left, which isn't enough to complete not even half a lap around this track, so that might drop them down to P3 depending on how quickly they can get back out, which is going to build up our gap quite nicely and give us a good margin to push for another fastest lap here. So hopefully with my best efforts and no mistakes like that little one there, as you can see we're now 3/10 down on the fastest lap, which isn't much of a margin around this track because, well, there's so many more places that you can get a better line through and improve your time at. It won't really matter if you're down a few tenths in one sector. So we're just going to see how this push lap ends out as our final lap around the Nordschleife 24-hour layout in drive 1. We've sent it a bit wide there. Do we manage to keep it on the track? Yes, we do. Good little recovery there, but that's going to hinder our overall lap time for fastest lap by quite a bit. As you can see there, 1.7 seconds behind, which is a bit more of a margin, but it's not the end of the world. As we get another little bit of a loose moment there, trying to keep it as stable as possible, managed to get back on the track, but that's not ideal for us, and I think the fastest lap is now off the table. And I don't think we're going to be able to beat that as our fastest lap in this session. So I think we're just going to have to try and see this lap through to the end, try not to make any mistakes, try not to lose any time to Valdez and Kelly behind. So we have a little bit of oversteer there, but nothing too drastic, and hopefully we see this lap out to the end. We have another big moment there, big snap of oversteer, but we managed to keep it on the track, but we get a little bit more damage, which is, well, it could help us by balancing out the suspension damage, but at the same time it will hurt our pace, which is quite frustrating, but we're just going to have to see how it is until the end as we go very deep into that corner and hit the inside barrier. And we're taking our time a bit here, trying to get back onto the track, but that is really going to affect the gap between us and second place now. So we're really going to have to keep it on the track now, try not to let the damage affect us too much, and just get this lap finished as quickly as possible. I need to adapt to that damage quickly and make sure that I keep second place behind. As we get out of shape there a little bit again, spinning into the grass, hitting the wall. No more damage is taken, but yes, again the gap to second closes down. Try swerving around a little bit to get the grass off my tyres. We're just going to get back at it. About 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes left of this lap. So we've really just got to keep our foot down in this last part of the sector and get this lap finished. Onto the gravel again as we hit the barrier again. We're really cutting it down to the wire now. Only about 28 seconds to second place, and that's going to come down even further because we still didn't get back on the track in time. We're only just getting going again, so that gap's going to come down even further. Trying to swerve a little bit to get the mud off the tyres again, but it's been really poor from me on this last lap. Just not really kept it together at all. We're now on this back straight. The gap's now down to 17 seconds, and I have damage on the front bumper, rear bumper, left and right suspension, which is going to hinder me so much down this straight. It's going to be unbelievable. But here we have it, coming through the final corner now. A bit of a squirm on the exit, but the final corner onto the main straight, and that is the first 10 laps of the 24-hour Nordschleife, driving 5,525 miles completed. Very worn out, total run time of 1.5 hours, and that is quite challenging, I have to say. Quite challenging to commentate as well. Seeing as how many mistakes I was making, but I just have a bit of a relax now. I hope you enjoyed, and as you can see there, that is the first 154.9 miles out of the 5,525 that I need to do. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll be back with Drive 2 as soon as possible.